Hello, welcome back to our series, Behind the Scenes of Nautilus. I'm Commander Brad Boyd, Director of Submarine Force Museum and Officer in Charge of Historic Ship Nautilus. This episode, we're going underneath the superstructure. So, superstructure is that area that you can see the top of the deck as it comes up, and then underneath that to the pressure hull. And that area in between, that void, is actually the superstructure. So, it's a free float area, and I'll be pointing out all I can down there. There's not a lot to point out, other than it's interesting to see how Nautilus works from what you can't see either inside the hull or from on the pier or on top of her without actually climbing into that area. So I'll be pointing all that out. If you have questions, please let us know. One point of clarification from last week. So I was watching the video over and I realized that I misspoke a little bit with talking about the EM log sword. I compared it to a pitot tube. It's kind of reverting back to my aeronautical engineering days in college. It provides the same information and it functions that way, but it doesn't actually measure differences in pressure. What it does is it measures the electromagnetic current using Faraday's law, and from that you can actually pull out the speed through the water based off those changes. So apologize for the misspeak there. That's how that actually works. They determine ship speed through the water via that. So with that, if you have any questions, please let us know. But on with the tour. All right, so we come on out. So it's a little windy, so I hope it's not too bad, but we come through here, so you can see this spot here. That's actually the weapon shipping hatch. That's how you get the torpedoes in. So this hatch here, all that comes up. I'm not moving that because it's extremely heavy right now, but that's the actual hatch that you would go into. And then over here, all these hatches that you see up, we pulled them up and folded them over so that you can actually see into the area a little bit better. But down here, this is the free flood section. So wood deck on top, not pressure hull, and then as you see down in there, and we'll climb down there in just a second, that's the actual pressure hull. So all right, so this is the actual pressure hull. So that's where the people tank, if you will, is. That's the pressurized portion of the hull. And then you can see, so you go down over the side, this would just be a free float area. In fact, I'm not sure, you can kind of see daylight coming through the side there. That's because the area was at 100% free flow. Water would come in, go out, throughout all this section here. So once again, German U-boat, basically a diesel boat design. Diesel boats were designed more like a surface ship, so you would have a false top to have people walk on, and it also made repairs easier because then damage that happened to the top to wood is a lot easier to repair in a shipyard than to metal if you had battle damage. So I see a little better over here. So over here, so that's down and forward, and then as you see right here, so this is actually added in after the fact. This is ventilation to the boat. This is how we bring air conditioning in the summer and heat in the winter to the boat, is through this piping here, which actually connects under the brow there. That's ventilation piping, and then goes under the pier, goes back to the building, and that's the path that takes. Sections over here. So you see this honeycomb structure here. What this does right here. So what this does is prevents water from just sliding around back and forth underneath and causing issues and causing weight changes. So it helps break that up. So water can move through the holes easily, but you don't have a big sloshing effect. So that's what this area is. More of you can see under the sides there. All this electrical cabling that you see here, that's all added after the fact. That would not have been there when Nautilus was in service. So, for example, outlets. Nautilus would not have had electrical outlets that would then be able to be subject to water damage. So, okay. Under. Next episode, we'll actually go into this door here, which takes you into the sail. then you can go up the sail to the bridge. But we'll do that, as I said, next episode. But, okay. So coming into here, more areas. So modern boats don't really have a free float area like this, except for the Ohio class. Now the Ohio class with the ballistic missile submarine does have a raised deck like this. The initial hatches stick out, and so they've got that superstructure. But the fast attack submarines don't have a free float area like this to deal with. Fans to help with ventilation in the boat. That's what this piping here is. Underneath. This is all just support equipment after the fact to help with ventilation into and out of the boat. So right now you're over to the engine room area of the boat. So, and we have a couple more spots back to go. Another hatch back into the engine room area. Ventilation piping, so ventilation to the forward end, ventilation to the back end, all comes from the museum. No real change there, just we put 2 entrance points for the air to get in. So one of the areas we have to clean up a lot is, you see the water here, so it rained last night, so water comes into the free float area because it's not watertight. And then we have to get the water out of the little pockets here periodically. So, but you can see forward to back. As I said, ventilation piping is all that dark black tubing you can see there in here. So, electrical outlet definitely added after the fact. And then other hatch points to that one. I can't remember which tank that goes to, but that's access to a tank. That's the main ballast tank specifically, but I can't remember which one it is off the top of my head. So base off position probably 4. Okay, and then one more. So unfortunately, it's not an easy way to get down into this one. So I'll just kind of stick the camera under. So, and that's what the free float area of Nautilus looks like underneath the superstructure. So we're actually getting ready to do a lot of maintenance down here. I should say a lot of inspections down here for maintenance coming up next time we go into dry dock. And got a duck on the back end of the rudder there, so you can see that a little bit easier. So, but getting ready to do a inspection series here under our superstructure to look for any rust or anything else. The boat's sitting in a saltwater environment, and one of the things we have to do is in a couple of years we'll end up going to dry dock to do some repairs in the boat. And we're doing all the inspections now to see exactly what needs to be repaired as we go forward. Next episode, we're going to go on up into the sail. So we'll talk about the masts that are up there and the bridge. And that'll pretty much do it for the Nautilus, behind the scenes Nautilus series. So if you have any questions, please let us know. But other than that, thanks for coming along and hope you enjoy the tour.